Hi, YouTube. So I moved, if you haven't noticed the change of scenery here. I bought a townhouse in Anaheim with my roommate, my best friend. We went 50-50 and basically just wanted to get out of the apartment and into an investment. And we just had the money to be able to afford something like this. And so we got a great rate with the builder and just too good of a deal to pass up. So we broke our lease in the apartment in Irvine and moved to Anaheim. So now I'm about 10 minutes up from Disneyland and pretty close to a lot more activities, and it's pretty fun here compared to Irvine. I'm in my early 30s and there's not a whole lot to do in Irvine, gonna be honest. I'm pretty much a homebody anyway, so I stay home a lot of the time, but now I have downtown Disney, I have Packing District, I have Fullerton, which has a lot to offer as well. You know, baseball, Honda Center, all the stuff is close to me now, or closer than it was, and just more likely to go out and do stuff. So I've been to the packing house a couple of times, and it's been fun so far. Anyway, not the reason for this video. Main reason for this video is to continue on with my video series of me kind of reminiscing on my trip that I took back in 2023. Feels so long ago now, and that's part of the reason I wanted to continue this. I just want to make sure that while it's still as fresh in my mind as it can be, that I reminisce, and so that way it's kind of on video, so I don't forget things. I was looking back the other day at my YouTube channel on just a couple of videos that I had posted, and there were details there that I had forgotten about already. So before I lose my memories of that, I wanted to go ahead and get this all out. So at the end of my last video, I had left Tokyo and I was headed to Nikko. And so Nikko was a much different vibe than Tokyo. Nikko is a small kind of mountain town, if you will. I had to take a Shinkansen all the way up there, and that was my first time on one in Japan, which was pretty cool. I had taken one in China back in 2018, a bullet train, and that went really quickly. That was my real first experience on one, but Japan's were a little bit nicer, or maybe just more updated, but felt nice, and the ride was really smooth and convenient. So basically, I went from Tokyo to Nikko, and when I arrived in Nikko Station, I stayed at a guest house called Sumika, Sumica, I think, and it was just like a little guest house, little hostel, if you will, right by the train station, and so that was really convenient. My initial plan, uh, was to go up there and hike the third, I think, largest mountain, which is up there. Having no hiking gear and it being March, I didn't realize that it was closed. I also didn't realize how cold it would be. So I was totally ill prepared and did not expect it up when I got up there, my plans definitely changed. So the original plan was to go see Toshogu Shrine, which is all the shogunate where he's like buried or whatever, and then to go Lake Chuzenji, which was really beautiful. Some waterfalls around that area as well. And then the main thing was to hike up that mountain. And the reason why I wanted to hike up that mountain was because at the very top of it, there's this sword that sticks out. And this sword is like obnoxiously huge. It's probably 10 feet tall or something. And it just kind of sticks out at the very top. And I really wanted to see it. It looked really cool online. But of course, when I got there, I was informed that the entire mountain area there was closed, and it's kind of snowy hilltops, and I never would have made it even if it was open. So that was totally fantasy there. Anyway, I got there. I was in the town for a couple of days. I had already booked my ticket up there and my stay at the lodge, so I wanted to just make the most of it. So, because this was kind of a guest house hostel, there were some other people there. Two main people left an impression. The first one was Miles. So, I met this guy, Miles, who was staying in the same room I was on the first floor. And it was great. It was literally just me and him. It was a bunk bed. So, the rooms were really small. There were only, I think, three or four rooms, three on the top and one in the bottom, and like two bathrooms. So, the place was really small. Nothing like the guest house I had just stayed in or the hostel I had just stayed in in Tokyo that was like multiple stories and had, an entire restaurant slash bar meeting spot on the first floor. This was nothing like that. This was very, very small and kind of quaint. So anyway, I stayed in the bed downstairs and I met Miles. And Miles was from Australia, and his goal there was to go see the Toshogu Shrine, just like myself. But we also wanted to go see the lake, which was great. So our itineraries matched, and he had the bright idea of getting a car. I did not, so I was just going to take a bus up there in the morning, and then spend the day up in the town, and then come back, and then maybe the next day go hiking to the shrine or something. I hadn't really figured it out. I just knew kind of what I wanted to do, and I knew I had an extra day now that my hiking trip was canceled for the actual mountain itself. So he said he had a car. That was perfect. The bus was gonna not only cost me more money, but also I was on set on a time schedule there where I had to be at a certain spot to get to and from the bus and back to the town. So he invited me to go up with him to the lake, and so we left. The first night we just rested, and then in the morning we both left together in his car, a rental. We got up there and the mountain was a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So going up, a bunch of windy paths, it felt like I was going up to Big Bear. And then when I got to the town, it was still like pretty early in the morning. I want to say maybe 7:30 or 8:30 in the morning, and the entire town was pretty much still asleep. It was really beautiful, really peaceful. You could see the lake. It was just super still, still as glass, and the sun was just had just risen, so you could see kind of all the mountains. And I took a really great picture right up there. I had my orange vested jacket on, which is just so freaking cold up there, and yeah, we just took some pictures of the lake. There wasn't anything that I really wanted to do. I didn't want to like go on the lake or anything or talk to really anybody or go see anything particular up into the town. It was just mainly the lake I wanted to see. And so that was really cool. But it took maybe 20 minutes. I got my pictures, and if I had taken a bus up there, I would have been there for probably half a day. So I'm really glad that I was with Miles because I didn't have to stay up there and just freeze my butt off until we were ready to come back. We just had a car, so we could leave. The next thing we wanted to go do was to go to a waterfall. There were a couple waterfalls that Miles had researched, and so I just tagged along with them. And they were supposed to be these like gushing waterfalls, but because it was so cold, a lot of it was frozen still. So by the time we got there was like a little lookout that we went up to, and it really was not that spectacular. I researched some pictures online later, and during the summer months, I'm sure it's beautiful, and that's kind of probably what he was looking at too. But for being almost all frozen, there was barely any traction, of water spitting out. It was literally just a hole in a rock and some frozen water. So wasn't anything I would recommend in the winter by any means. That was quick too. And then the shrine opened. So we drove down to the Toshogu Shrine, and that was really the highlight of the trip up to Nikko, up until this point. So we parked our car, we were walking, and this place is pretty large. There's obviously the Toshogu Shrine, but there's some other kind of monuments that I didn't really do any research on, but there's a lot to see up there, and it's really, really beautiful. It's like way in the mountains, so you can, you know, you're in nature. You're definitely dead set in nature. There's no um, like you can't see a town or anything close by. It's just you park on this kind of hillside, you walk up, and then you can see the town, or you can see the shrine, excuse me. And so as we were walking, we walked up. There was like this really, really tall phallic shaped like pillar. I don't know what it was representing, but I just remember it stuck out to me as I'd never seen anything like that for that type of shrine. Normally you're used to seeing torii gates, but this was just a really unique statue. It was all black and gold. And then you kept walking. They weren't quite open yet. They were just about to open like 15 minutes. So we got there at the perfect time. We bought our tickets. It was like a couple bucks, I think, maybe $10 if that. I don't even think it was that. And then we headed in. And now this place, this guy was highly revered, like really respected, and still is today. The shrine was really beautiful. I took this picture of a torii gate that was like really, really tall, probably like 30 feet tall or something, and it was just like beautifully painted. It looked like it just got painted, so either restored or just really well maintained. But as we were walking up, just that was my favorite picture in Nikko that I took of this torii gate. And then we got into the shrine itself. You know, there were some, I forgot exactly what they all meant, but there were like some monkeys and some tigers and this like these like idle guards with like a bow and a um, katana, and I guess they were like the protectors of the shrine or whatnot. You know, they're not real people; they're just little statues, but I guess that's kind of what they was symbolizing. And then we had to take our shoes off for a certain part of it to walk through the actual temple, which was, I learned, pretty common for most of the castles and stuff that I saw. During certain parts where it's all nice and wood, you do need to take your shoes off. So just be prepared for that if you ever go visit. And then if you really wanted to see where he was actually buried, like the shrine itself, you had to do quite a bit of walking uphill. So once you got into the initial grounds, if you will, there's a huge stairwell, huge like brick stairwell that is just, or cement, I guess, stairwell. And it's quite a bit of hiking. So it's up there, really steep. You got to go around and then even more so up. If you look at some pictures, it's quite a hike. And because it's so steep, it's not that long, it's just really steep. Yeah, it was challenging. But once I got up there, um, it was pretty cool. You could actually see like the burial. It wasn't like a, you know, a coffin. It was like a stone coffin, if you will. So, uh, yeah, really cool. You could just see like that's where he actually was. That's where he is. That's where he was. And up there is kind of really peaceful because it's all in the super high trees, way, way, way up in the mountain, even like past the grounds. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, kind of lost Miles halfway through that. He was looking at something else. Then we went into this other portion where these guys were having like a uh, little ceremony or whatnot, and so we stayed for that, and then we left. So that was really the highlight of the day there. That took quite a bit of time being up there, and then we got back. Some other people that we had met the night before had already left, and some new people had arrived. And one of the people that I met was Emma, and Emma was really cool. A bit younger. She's from France, and she was studying. Had just arrived, I think, to Japan. And before she started school in Osaka, she was kind of just traveling around Japan a little bit. So she had gone up to Nikko mainly for the Onsen and to go see the Toshogu Shrine as well. But because we had already seen it, she was going to go do it the day after. So anyway, we got talking. She was really awesome. The next day, Miles left, and yeah, we went out. You know, me and Emma, we went out drinking, and we went to the onsen. It was just like a separate, you know, women and men onsen, but we went together still. And yeah, it was really cool. It was really nice. The person that owned the guest house, the woman there, she kind of pushed us two together, and so we hung out quite a bit. And she offered to drive us to the onsen. I think she wanted us to like go on a date or something, basically. But yeah, Emma was really cool. I liked her a lot. She was fun. And then the next morning, we had like a little breakfast date, if you will, at a little cafe. I remember having these little triangle egg squares sandwiches or whatnot, and then had some coffee. Um, I just remember the one thing I could never get over is in Japan, it's still pretty common in a lot of places to be allowed to smoke inside. And so that cafe and some other places had, you know, just people smoking in the cafe, which I just can't get over. You know, in California, that would definitely not be okay. Just I come from Irvine, where it's a non-smoking city. So just being able to smoke all free and wherever you want was definitely a unique experience. But or a change of scenery, I guess. But yeah, it was really fun. And we said our goodbyes afterwards, and I headed down to Yokohama. She took a bus and did everything that I probably would have done the day before, except with on a bus and not a car. So I lucked out meeting Miles and just kind of tagged along with him. And yeah, he was really cool. I added him on Instagram, and yeah, we talk every now and again. But yeah, hopefully we get the chance to meet again. And same with Emma. We definitely want to stay in touch. And next time I'm in Japan, hopefully we get the chance to meet up again. She was really cool. Osaka is where she's at right now, so hopefully she stays around there because that's definitely one of the cities I would go back to. But Osaka's for another video. Next up, after Nikko, I headed back down. It was only a couple of days or 3 days in total, I think. And then I left. So I said my goodbyes to Emma, booked the Onsen, and I didn't leave exactly immediately. Um, I had taken a little detour. The woman had mentioned something to go see this town to go meet people. I don't remember the town exactly, but it was probably about maybe a 15-minute train ride back south, like towards Tokyo. So I decided to do it. I'm like, okay, let's go take a little trip and just see really the I think you call it Inaka, like the really just village part of Japan, like the very outskirts of Japan, not city life, but very countryside. Inaka, I think is what it's called. Excuse me. And so I just got on the train, um, and I went to this little. She's like, oh, this little. There's this mall. I think she called it a mall, but it definitely was not a mall. It was like a grocery store on the first floor, and then the top floor like the 3 stories or whatever, and then at the very top of it, it had this Ferris wheel on the top of the building, which was kind of cool, I guess. But the Ferris wheel was closed, and everything above, like all the arcade stuff on the third floor and the second floor, was all closed. There were these teenagers playing like one little arcade game or something, but most of the stuff didn't work or was closed. It was Inaka. Maybe that was exciting in Inaka, but definitely not what I was expecting. So I walked around there for a couple hours and then I booked it back down and I went to Yokohama. So Yokohama was my next destination. So I will talk about that on my next video. That was really cool. I went to Chinatown and Gundam. The big Gundam was still up there, so I saw some pretty cool stuff. But that's for our next video. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Bye bye.